My name is Constance Butel. I first met Delaine Eastin in the 1970s when I was a manager at Pacific Telephone Company in San Francisco. Delaine had joined the phone company in a one-year make-it-or-break-it program called Guidelines for Management Development. So she entered as a first-level supervisor. If she excelled, she'd be promoted to second level within a year and to district manager at the completion of her second year. It was an intense program, and I was her first manager. Naturally, Delaine excelled in all aspects of management, but also in her care for people and her enduring friendships. This video is a tribute and repository of her humor, intelligence, love of her friends and of her golden state of California, and her passion for children and education. Whenever and wherever her friends and community called her, Delaine was there. As an early member of Women in Telecommunications and our 1985 trip to China, sponsored by the All China Women's Federation and the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications, running for multiple offices, supporting other Californians, especially women, in their bid for elected offices, and so on. This video extracts moments where Delaine showed up and showed she cared for her friends, her focus on the future, how we can do better. Delaine, your voice and legacy are strong. We know you were a storyteller, and the stories you had to tell were and will remain compelling and inspiring.
Every one of you means absolutely the world to me. And one of the greatest quotes in my life is, "Never send to know where man's glory most begins and ends, but say my glory was I had such friends."
Yes.
So I thank you.
Yeah.
Emily Dickinson said, "My friends are my estate. Nothing could be truer for me than that."
That I really do believe that we are in a crisis time and we cannot turn away from public policy. We must stand up for doing the right thing. For the future, for the children who are not yet born, and for your own children and grandchildren.
How can we do better? Well, we bring back the voters we lost who don't feel heard. We make sure that people that disagree with us don't feel shunned. We welcome healthy debate, knowing that what is best for this beautiful state is optimism, not fear.
The fact is, the concepts associated with sustainable living are not new, they are old. They are not frivolous whims, but conservative values that we must remain committed to. It should not come as a surprise that those who have criticized the Sustainability Commission have now taken aim at the Historical Review Commission. After all, the old adage, "He who knows no history is doomed to repeat its mistakes," is still relevant. The fact is that we have to think about planning for the future in this community, in this state, and in our nation.
Great civilizations arise from the imagination and hard work of people who are nurtured by the societies to develop their gifts. In a word, education. Education, the place where personal and social responsibility come together for personal and social greatness, both together. In a great civilization, cities, counties, schools are institutional incubators of human potential. Our job is to create institutional incubators of human potential.
And I have to tell you all, I'm a machinist daughter. My mom's a dress clerk, right? So I get to go to the wonderful schools of California. And it changed my life forever. And I want that for every kid. But guess what? We're not doing that right now. We were 5th of the 50 states when I graduated from high school. California was tied with New York. Today, New York spends more than twice as much per child as California. You want to know how bad that is? We are living in the most expensive state in the Union, with the largest number and percentage of poor children and the largest number and percentage of English learners. We should be in the top 10, not the bottom 10.
But everybody here cares about education. And I'm not ashamed to say to the people in this room, it is my #1 priority. It is the most important thing the state does. It is in the state constitution that that's supposed to be our first priority. But I want the whole panoply. I want child development. There's a bunch of families out there that are struggling. There are 300,000 families on waiting lists to get child development. 300,000. In 2007, when the recession hit, child development was only 3% of the state budget, but it took 20% of the cuts. And so they've never restored that money. K-12, we used to be 5th of the 50 states. A lot of us in this room grew up in a state where we were tied with New York in per pupil spending. Tonight, we're 41st. But I'm horrified to tell you we're #1 in per prisoner expenditure in the nation.
We have the research. We have the finest research institutions in the world. We know the steepest curve of learning is 0 to 5. Then why is preschool more available in Georgia and Oklahoma than it is in California? We need to invest in preschool. We need to make kindergarten mandatory and full day. We need to make sure that we reinvest in the kids' education. Ladies and gentlemen, you're living in the most expensive state in the union, but you are 41st in per pupil spending.
You know, I always say if you really get down in the mouth, you know, you need to go and look in the eyes of a child. I used to think I saw hope there, but instead I now realize hope is something you do with your fingers crossed. When you look in the eyes of a child, what you see is optimism. And so indeed, we have to have optimism about where we're going and who we are and what we're going to do in the future.
What is our message to the future? I want it to be great education, clean water, a wonderful environment, wonderful future. Planning as well. We got to do some long-range planning.
What we need right now are not people looking to the state or looking to Washington, D.C. for solutions. We need committed community members to join together, whether they are schools or cities or nonprofits or religious organizations. We need everybody to get together around and behind our children. But at the end of the day, if you have great research and you lack the vision and the courage and the heart to stand up for the children, the research isn't going to do you a lot of good.
But it is Neil Postman who said, "Children are living messages we send to a time we will never see." What is our message to the future?
To be honest, if someone had shown me a list of the attendees and asked what the occasion was, I might have thought it was my funeral. But this is so much better than a funeral. To paraphrase Monty Python, she's alive! And indeed, I have never felt more alive, more grateful, more humble than I do at this moment. If I leave you with one last thought from me, it is thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for opening doors and yes, giving me a shoulder to cry on, holding my hand and lifting me up, yes, for writing me letters of reference or even writing checks for my campaign, making me laugh so hard that I snorted in an unladylike fashion. You walked 36 and provided Kleenex. You helped me find the right clothes to wear and helped improve my appearance. Sometimes taking me to lunch or dropping me a line or making sure that my house and home were supported when I was traveling. I am forever grateful.
Preschool back into style. Delaine, you made the civil servants all smile. Delaine, your mind is comprehensive, there's substance in your manner and your speech. You may be from San Carlos, but Vegas never had a sweeter peach. You want to educate our whole state.